Hey guys, welcome back. This is weekly coaching number 21. I am Mr. Rip. Sorry for the long delay. A student went on vacation, so we couldn't do any. But we're back now. New patch, new innates, new facets, new things to learn. The student hasn't been able to play a lot since he's been back from vacation, so he's only had a couple games. But there's some stuff that I wanted to look at in this replay that I think will be pretty helpful. If you like the video, by the end of it, you watch the whole thing, don't forget to like, all that stuff. And if you want to watch these live, I stream every weekday on Twitch at Mr. Rip TV. All right, let's get into it. So, Louis. So the main thing I noticed in this one was actually to do with kind of like how you're moving around the map. And this ward in particular, and I think this is something kind of your entire team was doing, but I wanted to point it out because once we take this tower here, you guys don't play top anymore. And the mid and the top waves kind of remain like unpushed for a very long part of the game, right?
Oh, okay.
There's some other things too I noticed with itemization and things like that. I don't want to be like super harsh on it because I know you haven't been playing a lot lately, but
yeah,
it's like it's stuff that'll help for sure. So when you're in this game state, so you've taken the enemy tier 1, you've taken the enemy top tower, so the mid and the top tower are down, and you have this deep ward here, and you even have the tier 1 bottom, right? So we really don't want to be playing bottom if at all possible. We kind of never ever want to go bottom anymore. The primary reason is that the tier 1 tower is like kind of really easy to siege. It's really easy to attack, especially if they have their tier 1 up. But now that they don't, whenever they go to push this tower, it's going to be very, very telegraphed. Like, you're going to know if they're trying to take this tower, right?
Okay.
And because you have all of your tier 1s, you have basically your entire jungle to farm, and then you kind of get access to these camps as well. This kind of opens up. These ones become a little bit contested, but right around here, this should be your area. And then by extension, this kind of becomes your area as well. This is all like contested now, right? This ward really, really enables that. This is a great ward, right? So this is like just something that if you can get your team to do it, it'll be really, really helpful. And if you can't, then you can just do it yourself, which is just playing around your vision and taking the enemy's side of the map. And it's not like going crazy, but it's kind of taking what should belong to you, if that makes any sense, right? So if we just watch this from you for a little bit, let me put it on your player view. And I kind of want to just zip through this and watch kind of what your team did instead. Because we got this good ward down, and then people kind of move to middle because that's the next wave. And then people autopilot to moving back to their own side of the map. You see this here? Yeah, your entire team is now playing on your side of the map. No one is pushing this wave. No one is farming here. No one's farming here. No one's even farming this stuff. There's no reason to be here ever. Somebody could be here, like Sven, for instance, right? This is fine.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to walk to middle and then walk down here. You can walk to middle, push the wave, but then just come back to the vision. Because what you don't want to happen is what happens in a few minutes when CM just roams by and randomly dewards this. This should never, ever, 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 ever happen, right? So when you have deep vision like this, and it's a really good like high ground ward, and you guys are ahead, she should never, ever be able to just walk up here and deward it by herself. She should die instantly if she walks here. Once you get deep vision established like this, like they need to commit their whole team to come here, or you guys need to be dead to like take this area back, right? And this would be easy for you to defend if you had people in the area farming. You would just be here anyway. You don't have to sit here and just AFK. You'd just be farming in the area. She would come up to deward. You'd poke her. She'd run away, right? So that's the first thing. And then see what happens is you guys just kind of stay bottom. And this whole team, you have like, you have 18 last hits right now at 20 minutes, which is, I know you're a support, but this is kind of low. And then we're kind of just autopiloting into like running at the nearest thing, basically. So this whole time, no one is farming mid, no one is getting the mid rune, no one is farming top or this jungle. This is all just going unfarmed. Like, if we look at the map here, this whole 25% of the map should be getting farmed. Instead, we're diving a tier 2 and we're diving high ground, which is like, this is very Herald crap. And I know it's like you're playing with like Crusaders and Guardians and stuff like this, but you know, we don't want to be doing this. The Wisdom Rune steal, that's awesome. We generally don't want to commit our entire team for that. It's just not very efficient.
Yeah.
So basically, we just don't want to. We don't want to be playing here. And then later, what happens is you guys kind of get bored again, and you just kind of randomly go into the triangle. Let me see if I can find that. So you TP'd up top, right? This is great.
Yeah.
We want to do more of this. And then while you're doing this, I think they just kind of run into the triangle and try and fight again. Let me see. Kind of watching the map right now. This map overlay is pretty cool. Like this. Oh, they do come top. Okay, so maybe that happened later where they went to fight in the triangle randomly.
There was a few times when if we was bot and like we got kills, I would just TP to the.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. That's what you want to be doing. There's something to note there as well with this whole team fight. Yeah, let's keep it going. I want to get to this part where this happened. Yeah, it's kind of like here, right? So when Witch Doctor just runs up here by himself, there's just no reason to ever do this. This is not just for you. This is for anybody watching as well. And this is kind of like if anybody on your team was able to watch this, this would extend to them. There's just no reason to ever come here because you already have most of the map. If we have most of the map, we're going to outscale them, and then we're naturally just going to win over time. The onus is on them to retake the map from you. Right?
Okay.
Not for you to take the entire map. We have to do it in segments, right? So once we take the tier 1s, then we kind of get this area. And then once we take the tier 2s, then we start securing this area. And then once we have all the tier 2s, that's when we can kind of secure their triangle. Or if it's flipped and for some reason we were playing bottom the entire time, we would take this area and then this would be this area top would become their area, right? Usually what happens is the map flips. Usually both tier 1s go down and then both teams start playing in the enemy jungles, right? But in this instance where you're really far ahead because you have the tier 1 and they don't, you should have a majority of the map, basically. That's the main thing, really. It's kind of just we're not looking at accelerating our own farm like on Enchantress, which is definitely something you should be looking to doing because she scales really, really well. And she farms well as well. She can jungle anywhere she wants to. Like Enchantress is definitely like a greedy support in that respect, like where it's easy for her to farm and she can make a lot of use out of the farm, right? She can farm pretty safely as well because she's really hard to kill until they get a lot of items. So we want to be doing more of this. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was trying to like tank up like and. Cause a lot of the times they would focus their stuff on me, like over most people, and I was like, cause I can like heal a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was playing like kind of like a pos free, like not like pos free, but like tanky, but then like not so much. I was like stealing farm, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. That game plan totally makes sense. Like tank up, be a front line for your team, whatever. You don't need to because you have a Wraith King and a Sven here, but there's no issue with it. That's kind of natural for Enchantress to play that way, right? So that's all good. There's no issue there. It's just that in a lot of these instances where you could be farming, you wouldn't be stealing farm from people because they're not bothering, right? So if we come back several minutes to that area I was talking about, around like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
After this tower. Yeah, like this instance here. Instead of coming down here with them, you know, just farm this. Just go farm this and then make your way here. Or if this is too scary, just walk straight here or go up here. Don't come over here.
Okay.
This is bad. Don't let your team bait you into coming to the stupid part of the map because they'll do it over and over and over again. And the reason they do it is because basically they sit in their lane forever. And then they just walk to the the nearest enemy thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't get baited into doing this. Basically, if you have your TP available, you should be free to go split push and go on the enemy side of the map. And you don't need to be with your team at all times. Especially if you're winning. it's when you're losing and you're on the back foot that you kind of need to like sit with your cores and protect them all the time, like when you have no space. But in this instance, you guys have 75% of the map. You have space. Everyone has space. Wraith King's farming the triangle, like no problem, right? Someone can farm this, someone can farm this area, someone can farm here. It's all good. So that's the first thing. Just that discussion about like playing around your vision and taking the map from the enemy team is really, really important. And like I want you to like focus on that a lot. Like, does this like look safe to do? Like the only information we have is that CM is up here, right?
Yeah.
You know, like walking into a Pudge and an Axe and a Bloodseeker is kind of scary because they can always like force fights on you. They do a lot of damage. They have 3 spells that go through BKBs. Like they're not easy to get away from.
Kill.
And they're not easy to kill, and they're not easy to get away from. So the problem with these 3 heroes is like if you pick the wrong fight, you can't just get out of it, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful about walking into areas where you have to presume that this is warded, as it is.
Yeah.
You have to presume that you're walking into vision, because this is what happens, right? So there's no reason to force it. Like their vision right now, because they're losing, their vision is defensive. They have this ward here and they have this ward here, and these are fine. And then CM warded here as well. So that kind of tells you what area they're claiming, right?
Okay.
This ward is claiming the triangle. This ward is claiming this area of the jungle, right? So like this defensive ward right here, this is fine because if they were going to make any movements, like they would want to move out this way, right? To go do things, to go secure this area. Like this ward is fine, but most of our vision should really be around when are they walking down this lane? And I need to secure vision for myself up here. So I want to get wards up in their top jungle, in this area, you know, around the mid tower. We want wards to start spotting where they're moving so that we can farm past it, right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Does that all make sense? Any questions about that?
No, I get that bit.
Okay. So, yeah. Mechanically, I noticed in this game, we were almost never using enchant on enemy heroes. And we're not using it to grab creeps, like almost ever. That is like the main defining feature of Enchantress, is that she can convert creeps. And also that this W is a dispel. So basically every single fight with an enemy, we want to be using enchant. That allows us to kite them better or chase them or even get away, right? It's 50 mana. It's a crazy slow. You really should be using this like kind of all the time. It's a very, very strong spell. And if there's no fight going on, just grab a creep, send it somewhere, and you can use it to scout for you. Or if you want to get more advanced with it, you can use that creep to like stack camps for you or deny runes or to split push a wave that you're not in. There's so much utility you get out of having an extra unit, and it's one of the main strengths of this hero. So, like, basically this spell should always be on cooldown, if that kind of makes sense. We should be grabbing a creep. Unless we already have a creep and there's no one to fight, there's really no reason we shouldn't be using enchant all the time.
Okay.
So that's that, you know, like, definitely use this more. That's a mechanical thing. I also noticed a little bit in fights, there was a tendency for you to kind of like walk up into melee range with like axe and stuff like that. And I know it's because you're trying to like heal your teammates, but you want to be really, really careful about that, because one of the main strengths of Enchantress is her damage at range, right?
Yeah.
And also, simply because you're a ranged hero, if you stay out of melee range, you can damage them and they can't damage you. You know, outside of like ranged spells, right? Yeah. So we want to be constantly using that range. Something they've added recently, I don't know if you know about this, but you can hold Alt and you can right click stuff and it will show you this. You see these range circles?
Oh yeah. I think that's in the game for ages, to be fair.
No, not just the range circles, but now you can hold Alt and right click them and they will stay up forever, and you don't need to do that. And you can do
I
that
think,
with all kinds of things. Let me see real quick. Go ahead.
I think you could do it in console command like permanently.
Yeah, you don't need the
Before.
console command now.
Yeah.
Let me show you real quick how this works because it's super awesome. You can use it for a bunch of things. Like you can use it to kind of figure out your attack range. You can also use it to look at your spell range. So let's just do this. So if I right click my stats, I get my attack range all the time. I'm not touching anything, it's still there, right? So this allows me to really look at like the edge of my range and play on it. See that?
Yeah.
Super useful. Also, you can right click your experience and then you can get XP range. Look at this.
Oh, okay.
Look how far away I can be to still get XP.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? This is super useful. I actually use this all the time. And then obviously, you know, you can use it on any of your spells that have range to them. So I can do it on enchant or impetus or my attack range or whatever. I don't think you can do it on items. Nope, you can. You can do it on items too. That's pretty cool. Look at that. So this is really helpful. You just literally hold Alt and right click the thing and it'll show you the range. Like here, we could use it to show our healing range. You know, if we want to stay on the edge of something and heal it, we could do it like that. Really, really useful thing to do.
Oh, that's pretty cool then.
Yeah. It's a nice feature for sure. All right. We don't need the replay. It's fine. I will just go through the rest of the notes. So I noticed in general there was a tendency to get a little bit too close. So you want to make better use of your range. There was one instance at the late game where you guys were like pushing to win. And I noticed you were, I don't know if you were like stat padding for like one of the daily challenges or something like that.
Yeah, I think I was, yeah.
Because you spent a lot of time just denying a shit ton of creeps while you guys were pushing. And I'm like, this is not necessary. Because you have like 25 denies. It was super funny.
And I needed like 20 denies. And I was like, oh snap, I haven't done the challenge. Like.
Okay, let me see if I can get this thing to come up. Keep talking. What
I think the game was like, I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, the game's won. Let me get this challenge real. Let me get the daily guild thing.
That's what I assumed. That's what I assumed it was, for sure. Okay. Well, then we don't really need this tip, but in the future, Enchantress is one of those heroes that, like, you don't need to do that because you can heal the creeps. So there's not much point to denying them. I mean, it's almost always good to deny, but if you're in a situation where you're kind of like pushing and you want to like take a tower, or you're trying to end the game, you can just heal your creeps up. There we go, we fixed it. Let's see. So other things were so you had a blood grenade in your inventory and the entire game you started with a blood grenade pretty early on, I think, and you literally didn't use it the entire game. Maybe you bought it a little bit later. Let me see where it came up. There it is. Boom. Yeah, this blood grenade stays in your inventory literally in the entire game. So look for opportunities to use it. Okay, it's very strong. I think it's better as long as you're not going to die from taking the damage of not only throwing it and losing 75 health, but also losing the 50 health buff it's giving you. If you're not going to die and you're going for a kill on someone, just chuck these out. Like, they're real cheap. They're very, very useful. Don't sit on a blood grenade the entire game. And then another thing is your inventory kind of looked like this for a very long time, where you were sitting on these two branches, this blood grenade, and 2 sentries in your backpack.
Okay.
It looked like this for a super long time. This is something I've noticed in general. You tend to get a little bit lazy with your inventory, I would say, where you kind of like don't think about it. Another thing I was going to mention was that you stayed on strength treads the entire game. Yeah, one of the powerful things about treads is that you can switch them to whatever you need. So if you need to do more damage, switch them to int. If you need to tank, go to strength. If you're regenning, go to agi. If you don't need the damage but you're farming, go to agi as well, right? Like, a bunch of uses for it. If you notice, like, really good players like Arteezy or whatever, he is switching his treads constantly. Like, almost every single time he goes to cast a spell, he goes to end treads first to get a little bit more mana, right? Whenever he's taking damage, goes to strength. Whenever he's farming, goes to agi.
It's really weird because like certain heroes I will 100% do that on. It's like I have to like it's really like if I was playing like core like role, I would always like int tread, but then as soon as like I'm not, it's just like normally like I forget that it's a thing.
Yeah, just get in the habit of it. And you can even like just idly, you know, while you're not doing anything, just cycle your treads. Just match the button, right? Like I have all my items on the number keys. So like here I could just be running around just pressing 4 all the time. Just just to like maybe build the habit, right? Of doing it, of just messing with things. Because yeah, it's really, really powerful. So if you can start incorporating that, it's not gonna like win or lose you a game, right? But this is one of those like +1 MMR things. Like one day you will have a game where you had just enough mana because you switched to Intreads to cast your spell, and then that won the team fight. Or you like lasted with an extra like 40 health or something because you switched to strength treads. Like it'll happen sooner or later. But it's mainly just the damage and the attack speed that's like going to be the primary benefit, right? So if you're going to buy treads, swap them around as you need. Staying on 2 iron branches is fine if you have nothing else to go there, but these 2 items should basically be the first things to get out of your inventory. Like, because you never know, right? You might end up in the middle of a team fight and you like need to sentry this hill like right now to see if there's vision, right? And you can't do it because you have this cooldown to swap these things in. So especially when I'm playing a support, if I have utility items, branches are the first things to go. It's the most cost efficient item in the game, but it is also the worst item in the game. It's just +1 all stats, right? Like it's very, very bad stat wise. You have 70 iron branches worth of stats on you right now. Like 1 is not going to make a difference, you know? Much better to have that utility ready to go, like your smokes, your wards, your dust, blood grenades, whatever the fuck. So get in that habit too. Swap these things in, because these sentries sat here forever. And I did notice that, and actually, you only bought a little bit of utility. You only bought like 3 sentries the whole game. So if I was the witch doctor and you were in my game, I'd actually be getting mad at you. I'm like, look at this Ench not helping with sentries at all, right? Like totally, you need to be like buying a lot more of this stuff. Usually what I'll do is if I'm playing position 5, it's kind of my standard way to spend on support gold is like every time I buy an observer ward, I buy 2 sentries. That's just like my basic recipe, like a 2-to-1 ratio, right? I tend to buy the smokes off cooldown just so we can like build up a big stock of them and they don't run out. It's something I'm adjusting. I don't do it as much anymore. Where I want to leave smokes for other people to use as well. And I try to leave observers for other people because maybe they have a specific thing they want to do with them. So I try not to hoard them all, but I do try to like buy them constantly. When I'm playing position 4, the ratio might be a little bit more like 2-to-1 observers to sentries or 1-to-1. Like I'm going to spend less gold on sentries, but I am still going to be buying a lot more of them. And also, like if they have any invis at all, you need to be buying dust. If you're the position 4, like buying lots of smokes and stuff like that can be good too. You don't have to buy a million sentries, but like, you know, you do need to be keeping up on it, right? Because if Witch Doctor's spending like 1,600 and CM's spending 600, like you could easily be spending 500 or 600 gold on sentries and stuff like that. Like he doesn't need to be buying all of these himself. And part of the reason for that is not just like, you know, share the load, right? There's multiple supports, but also as the position 4, you should be getting access to more farm. So you should have the money to spare for more of that utility. Yeah. So let's see. So kind of leaving items in backpack too long. Yeah, we talked about that one. Not spending gold fast enough or using courier. I did notice that a little bit. Where it was kind of like when you were before you bought your hurricane pike, I don't know if you were just like thinking about what item you needed. I mean, I'll do that too. I'll like float some gold. Yeah, Yeah, it's kind of like around this instance where we kind of like we could get our
4 staff.
4 staff pretty soon here, and we could have this TP scroll, right? But there's also another instance. I think you were low mana for a really long time, and yeah, here it is. Yeah, you're kind of just running around like super low mana. So this is like here. I would definitely be like sending myself. I'd be sending myself clarities or even just more mana regen items.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you know, you got the Falcon Blade, but there's kind of no reason to be walking around like this low mana when you have this much gold.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me see what's in stock right now. Yeah. Like in this instance, I would buy, I'm assuming this is accurate. It's kind of hard to tell with replays. I would have bought like an Observer and maybe some smokes and maybe like a Clarity and some infused raindrops. Or I would have turned these branches into a magic wand by now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, even if they don't cast a lot of spells, like still buying a stick or a magic wand later on can be good, even if you didn't need it for the lane. Let me see real quick. What was the other thing? So there's that. Yep. Yep. And then one thing here, it's kind of just being a little bit, you're just kind of like autopiloting here. So if I look at this from your perspective, hey, like, you know, we'll cut you some slack because you haven't been playing in a while, right? But there's this whole ass team fight happening like right next to you.
I did ask if they needed me, and I was like, they're like, those fine.
So, so it's your responsibility to at least look at it. Okay.
Okay.
Even if you think that farming this small camp is more important than whatever the hell is going on, and there's definitely cases where that's going to be the case, where you're like, fuck your team fight. I don't have enough money for a TP scroll. I'm farming my goddamn TP scroll. Like, this fight's dumb, right? Like, that can totally be the case. But there is no reason to be staring at 2 ghosts that we're just clicking on. Like, this is lazy, right? And this makes a really, really big deal. Like, how active you are with looking around and clicking on things and gathering information is like massive. Like, it is like game winning. It's a really big skill to learn. Obviously, you know, sometimes whatever, it's okay to get a little bit lazy or whatever. Everyone does it. But just kind of get in the habit of, you know, looking around at stuff, especially when something is actively happening. Because you have no idea, right? If you don't know, like, maybe they say, like, no, we're fine. But, like, how do they know? Like, if you don't look, like, maybe you could have run over here. And maybe instead of, like, 2 heroes dying, maybe nobody had to die. Maybe the Sven didn't need to die. Right? If we had been here. Because I guarantee you, if you walk over here with all your items and all these spells, like, Axe is dead for sure. And probably Sven doesn't die either because we heal him. Right?
Okay.
It makes a big difference. So even though they don't think you need to help, like, you have to make that decision yourself to an extent.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that's like 30 minutes. And I was just going to suggest some more items because I did notice that you went for like a Bloodthorn later, which is fine. But this would be a really good game for Lotus Orb, a Pipe, or Lincolns. Because if you notice, Lincolns and Lotus are going to help you a lot against like Skywrath, Pudge, Bloodseeker, you know, make Bloodseeker rupture himself or waste it, right?
Yeah.
Block CM spells. Like, they have a hard time, like, kind of piercing it. Skywrath's pretty good at, like, breaking a Lincoln's, but they have, like, 2 really big single target spells that a Lincoln's or a Lotus would really mess with. And then also just the Dispel for silences, which they have two silences. That would be helpful with the Lotus. And then they have a ton of magic damage. So you already have the Glimmer Cape on Witch Doctor. This would be a really good pipe game. Like you said, you were kind of playing more like the offlaner.
Yeah.
Being more of an offlaner would be buying these defensive items, like expensive defensive items for your team. Like, totally here. It'd be like, you guys should have a pipe for sure. They do so much magic damage. Like, pipe would be awesome.
Okay.
Because, like, who else is going to buy it, right? Like, you have a greedy-ass Wraith King that's going Radiance. Like, he's probably not going to buy a pipe anytime soon, even though it would be nice if he did. Like, this guy's supposed to be your offlaner, but he's not really doing it. He's just playing position 1 from the offlane. So you kind of get promoted to that now, right? The Falcon Blade, the Treads, and the Dragon Lance and the Hurricane Pike, like those are just Enchantress items. That's fine. But when it comes to like tech items for the game,
Yeah.
definitely like a Pipe or a Lotus would be super strong here. I'm sure there's other things too that would be helpful, but I don't know right now. I'm trying to think about it. Drum boots are always nice for sure. It's a little weird, but Yules would also be quite nice because you can use the Yule, like you can Yules Pudge, like you have no disable, right? So like you can use that to save people from Pudge, to save people from Axe, or you know, like if you're about to be like if you're getting ruptured and then whatever the hell, what is this called? Bloodright. Like if Bloodseeker's going on you, you can just Yules yourself, right? Also, you can take off Silence, or you can Yules when like you get hit with a Mystic Flare. Like Yules is a super strong item here as well. Just defense items.
Rod any good?
Rod. So you would buy Rod in if your team is lacking catch. So you have Wraith King with a stun, you have Sven with a stun, you have Puck with Dream Coil, and you have Witch Doctor with a stun. So you guys don't have a lot of range, but you do have ranged stuns. You don't have any blinks on your team yet. Like we're not going to count Puck, really. You don't have super long range initiation, but you can initiate within like 600 range, you know, or whatever this is. Yeah, 600 on that one, 525. What's this? 600. What's Coil? 750. Like that's decent. That's enough to catch out a hero, right? We probably would want blinks on our 3 cores this game, but you don't need a Rod in this game. You have enough catch.
Okay.
Doesn't hurt, but yeah, I wouldn't prioritize Rod here myself. Yeah, I think the defensive items, especially when you're already ahead. So when you get ahead, the only way the enemy team is going to come back into the game, if you're playing properly, like if you're taking a majority of the map and you're only taking smart fights and you're playing around objectives, the only way they come back into the game is if you fuck up and they kill you. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, they like really it does come down to that. Like when you're losing, unless they have some crazy late game like timing, like they're waiting for Spectre Medusa to come online or something like that. In general, like when you get ahead, you should be able to stay ahead. And that's why we actually want to be prioritizing defensive items more. You'll notice this with like pro players, they'll do this, right? Like they'll get super fat and then what do they buy? Fucking blade mail, right? Or they go for their BKBs like super fast. They don't just keep buying damage. They buy stuff to protect their lead and allow them to play more aggressively at the same time. It's when you're behind that you want to be looking for items that are going to like kill people to get back in the game, right? Not always, but generally that's how it tilts, you know? If you're behind, you want offense. If you're ahead, you kind of want defense to accelerate the lead, right? Does that make sense? Any questions about that?
Nah.
Okay, for sure. And then also, obviously, like, Sproink is good. I don't know if your Ag Scepter is that good. I guess it's a root. It's okay. It's kind of a technical thing, little friends and upgrading enchant. I don't think it's like a super high priority. Yeah, these aren't like super necessary, but her shard is very good. Don't sleep on the shard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. If there's no other questions, I think we can wrap up there. Do you have anything else you're curious on?
No, I think I need to like get back into like remember doing things and
yeah, I gotta rebuild the habits. Right.
Yeah.
So what we'll do then for our next steps or our homework, because obviously you gotta like get back into it.
Yeah.
This can be a good time to build good habits, right? So which of the things I was talking about do you think like we would want to work on? We shouldn't work on everything at once, right? But just pick some things.
Probably like tread switching and probably like buying, like getting my items out.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. So just focusing on items. So practice tread switching. Focus on spending gold and delivering items quickly. And I would add on top of that, managing your inventory.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Those are really good things to work on in general. Those will all be helpful no matter what. And they're all mechanical things that you can just like physically work on. So they're good. Well, that's pretty good. We will call it there.
All right, I'll see you later. Thank you for the help as well.
Yeah, definitely. Glad to have you back as well. All right, guys, if you found that helpful at all, don't forget, like and subscribe. You can check out the playlist at the end of the video with all the other coaching videos. If you want to watch these live, check me out on Twitch. And if you're interested in getting coached by me, just leave a comment down below or message me in Discord. I have a Patreon set up. You can sign up for coaching there, or maybe we can do some freebies. It just depends. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.